Hello, and welcome back to Rock M Radio. I'm Quentin Corpuel, a new Rock M writer, contributor to Mizzou Athletics. Joining me today is fellow Rock M contributor / writer, Adeen Rao. Adeen, say hi to the people. How you doing?
Hello, everyone. How are you guys? Pleasure to be here.
Where are you? Are you still in Colorado?
Yes, I am right now in Colorado Springs, Colorado, with my family, living life with the family. Having a good summer away from school.
How far away are you from Boulder?
So I think I would like to say like an hour and a half to 2 hours, but I'm not really, I'm not a topographer or anything. I don't really know.
Okay, I was gonna ask, are the majority of people around you? Because I know Air Force is obviously right there.
Yeah.
But are the majority of college football fans around you Colorado Buffalo supporters or not?
Yes, I where I work, there's a lot of people that wear Buffs hats. I've heard some pretty wild takes about Coach Prime at work. I can't lie, at the water cooler. Some great ones, some ones that just made me want to go back to work. And there are this few Air Force fans. Those are the ones that I actually find the most intriguing to talk college football with. They're very enjoyable to talk college football with because they just love having fun. It's just like typical Service Academy football. It's just fun.
How are the Colorado people feeling about Colorado? Just out of curiosity.
They're optimistic, but cautiously optimistic, and you would expect that from a fan base that has, gone through the trials and tribulations they have the last couple years, especially with the whole Mel Tucker thing. And they don't think what people would say maybe the media thinks about Colorado. Obviously there are level-headed people everywhere, but they are optimistic. They think that this team could maybe be bowl eligible, but they're not thinking this team is gonna, shoot for the stars year one. They understand it's a lengthy process.
A reasonable fan base, a rare sight.
Crazy.
Maybe other people should try that sometime. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Colorado. That's for another day. Today, we are going to talk about Adeen's PFF cards. Now, if you, the listener, do not know what that is, Adeen, thankfully you're here. Could you explain what your PFF cards are and I guess why you wanted to make these PFF cards?
So I'll start with talking about my vision here. And my vision here is in the world of college football, I think there has never been a larger disconnect in any of the sports, the major sports groups in this country right now with analytics than in college football. I think in college football, it's very common to just look at the raw stats that you'll see on an ESPN box score, when in my personal opinion, I think that there's more to look at. There's better ways to judge a player, and there's more to see that isn't going to be behind like $150 paywall. And what I wanted to do is bring it to people in a cheap way, but a visually appealing way, to make it simple for the average college football fan to, understand. And that was my vision with this. And what these cards are is basically it's a Google sheet that, people pay for like $2 a month per position. And what you can do is when you get access to the sheet, you can basically just click on the drop-down menu. And when you click on the drop-down menu, it will show a list of players. You click on the player and boom, it will show all of his stats in form of a percentile, and it's really pretty. It's something I'm working on. There's data back to 2014 on this stuff, and I really want to, get this to the forefront of this college football community, to get our community, thinking smarter about college football, and to inform, everyone. And I want writers to see this kind of stuff so they can expand their view on college football. Because, I've noticed a lot of communities, especially the hockey community, which is where I got this inspiration from, they do this stuff, and the hockey community is so analytically driven with the way they look at players, and it really enables amazing discourse on the sport, where I noticed that college football discourse is often hostile, opinionated, not objective. It is very, very biased. It is very media-driven, article-driven, sentiment-driven. And I don't like that. I want it to be more. I want people to be, more, insightful with the way they look at college football.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I mean, like you follow the NHL, I follow the NFL, and the NFL has certainly embraced talking about football, not just with opinion and feeling, but also not just surface level statistics, but actual, not like analytics are necessarily better than surface level statistics, but it's another way to talk about it that when used correctly in an argument is beneficial for a certain argument. And I agree with you in that college football fans, at least the ones that I have interacted with, that kind of that way of talking about the sport is very sparse and not nearly as existent as it is in the NFL and the NHL and hell, even like the NBA. And also what I really like about yours, and you mentioned it, is that it's a lot easier to digest than what a lot of analytics sites currently present. That's actually what I wanted to ask you about next. So right now you've made PFF cards for quarterbacks and running backs, correct?
Yes, that's what's out to the public right now. I give people the option to bundle the two for $3 as opposed to paying for each individually for $2 a month. And what they are is basically they I can present it and really show it, because I think there's no other way to learn it than visually. And so what it is essentially I can just right here, for the Mizzou fans, obviously I can search Brady Cook for the simple thing with the click of a button. Boom, I can pull up his stats, right? And I have named these stats as opposed to their like actual name to make it more simple for the viewer. Like, a stat like accuracy is aimed pass percentage, but I don't want to put aim percent on there. I want to put accuracy, right? Because that's what it is. Depth here is average depth of target, or ADOT. I don't want to put ADOT here. I'm just going to put depth, right? Protection is a mix of time to throw and defensive pressure rate. And together that describes how much a quarterback, has time, is how comfortable he is in the pocket. Security is turnover worthy play rate. Scramble is pressure to sack rate. The clutch is your big time throw rate. Drops is obviously self-explanatory, how much the receivers drop his footballs. Batted is how much is batted. And then these two are obviously your vanilla stats, because I don't want to completely abandon actual statistic, like raw surface data statistics here. I want those to play in effect. And altogether, this creates the value added to team. That's what VAT is. Protection and drops have a negative effect. So if a quarterback gets really good protection, obviously it's going to, like, for example, a Stetson Bennett, it's going to negatively affect their value to the team, because obviously a quarterback in a good situation with good protection is going to perform better. And all this together, it's visually appealing. At least I tried to make it as visually appealing as possible to make it understandable for anyone who wants to look at it.
And with the running backs, could you quickly explain what each of the statistics, on the running back cards means?
Yes, I can. I'm going to go ahead and pull those up right now. So I don't know if you can see it. Are they up right now, the running backs right here?
I can still only see Brady Cooks.
Okay, let me go ahead and change my window. Present, share screen real quick, and running backs. Okay, so here's running backs. We're going to go ahead and look at a Mizzou fan favorite, you could say, Cody Schrader, right? Cool. This is Cody Schrader from last season. And these stats are also pretty interesting. We have breakaway, which is how their ability to break away in open space. Tisk, Georgia game. That one still stings. And we have their elusiveness rating, which is how they can evade tacklers in open space. After contact is their yards after contact. Security is their fumble rate, obviously. Explosiveness is a PFF signature stat that basically explains how explosive a running back is through the gaps. Protection is obviously the kind it's basically their yards before contact that they get. Drops is obviously how much they drop the ball when they're receiving. Route run is their route run separation as a running back. Touchdowns per attempt is pretty self-explanatory, and then yards per attempt. And all that together makes value added to team. The only negative affecting one here, and this one, is just protection. And obviously Cody Schrader, our running backs as a whole, we can look at Nathaniel Pete as well. They don't really get the best protection, although Nathaniel Pete had a better season because he's pretty good in the breakaway speed and elusiveness. Just as a whole, our running backs have a tough time with the protection, so that needs to really change. But yeah, you can see stuff like that in the snap of a finger.
Did you just import all this data into a spreadsheet? Like, how did you do this? Like, what was the process behind getting all this information into one spreadsheet?
So yeah, PFF has a feature where you can download their data as a CSV, and I'm pretty well versed with Google Sheets. I am very familiar with it. I've used it for a long time. And I love formulas. I've learned a lot about it, and basically most of these stats I have kind of merged and created myself. They don't offer it immediately upon getting it per se, but basically the stats together just put in a grid, and I use the percentile rank formula to put it into a percentile, and altogether that makes the stats. It's really intuitive, and these cards themselves are basically VLOOKUPs from that stat sheet, which I have hidden because just by PFF terms of service I have to keep it hidden because I can't sell their raw data directly.
Okay, yeah, no, that actually makes a ton of sense. I don't blame you. I did want to ask about now specific players now that we've gotten the basic understanding of what these cards are. Were there any players that pleasantly surprised you, players where you didn't think their percentiles in certain categories or a certain category were going to be all that high, but they were higher than you expected, whether it be a quarterback or a running back?
I can tell you a player in the running backs that I was never going to expect to be as low as he was. And it's a darling of college football. It's Travion Henderson. I can actually pull him up right now. This one shocked me a lot. So these numbers are crazy. Obviously I know that he is a great running back, and I know he had injuries this year. And this is something I've really learned is you can really see how injury-riddled players are affected in these cards. How much an injury and playing with one can deplete a player. Because once I get the historical cards done for running backs, I'm sure we're going to see a much different Travion Henderson card for 2021, for example. So that's a player, the running back one. I think one player, he didn't get exposed per se, but he got, this one really shows the tale of the story. It really shows the scheme, and it's Bo Nix for Oregon. Bo Nix, this one's insane. This guy is 99th percentile on accuracy, 95th percentile at scrambling, 94th percentile on ball security, 96th percentile on protection. That Oregon offensive line, really good at protecting him. But why is that also the case? Because of the system they run. Oregon fans know, and people who watch Oregon football know, they run a lot of RPOs and they run a lot of tunnel screens. And because of that, a number like his average depth of target is going to be extremely low. Very similar to an air raid system. Air raid systems typically have cards like this. And so it really offers insight as to why Bo Nix broke out last year and how so. And it's because of how great the system he's playing is. It's obviously Bo Nix is a smart quarterback, which is why he can operate in that system. But it shows, that his system is really, 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 really intuitive for quarterbacks. And I think it's the future of college football, really. What Oregon's doing over there.
And I think this can also explain why Justin Herbert was not thought of as highly, because the Oregon offense, which prioritizes short passing, might have been the worst possible thing for Justin Herbert, who is very good at throwing the ball very far and can do that very accurately. So I think when you get to historical cards, you haven't gotten to what year would it have been? 2021?
2020 or 2019, I'm pretty sure.
Excuse me, because he was the 2020 draft because he was the same draft as Burrow and Tua. But yeah, I think you're going to see a similar card, at least in terms of the depth, and I will laugh because that offense was not very suited to Justin Herbert's strength.
Exactly.
Did not show him off the way that I think other college football offenses would have.
And you bring up not showing off a quarterback, and this is where I can transition to historical cards that I'm working on right now. So this is kind of like a Rock M exclusive, really, because I haven't released the public yet, and I plan on releasing them soon. These are the historical cards. I'm working on them right now, so all this stuff is crazy. But if you look at this, I actually have, I can pull up, first of all, I can pull up Patrick Mahomes. Okay, this is a quarterback that everyone wonders, how did Cliff Kingsbury not win games with Mahomes? This is 2014. This was his first year. And this is, you can see this is a young quarterback who showcases, above average accuracy, premium passing depth, He's good at getting big time throws in, with a good, and he's good at producing despite getting bad protection, but obviously has some ball security issues because he's young, right? Now, this is something that would irk a lot of Texas Tech fans. You look at his 2015 card, look at this. One of the best arms in college football that we have seen in football in general, the last 30 years, 21st percentile in depth of target. It's very similar to a situation like Herbert. These quarterbacks with arm talent in college, some of them are being held down by the systems they play in. And it's crazy that you get to see that with these kind of cards like this, the insights.
That's really cool. So with historical cards, is there anyone that you haven't gotten to yet that you're really excited to see what their cards look like for any reason whatsoever?
Oh, yeah, Joe Burrow, 100%. I am very excited to see the difference between 2018 Joe Burrow and 2019 Joe Burrow, because obviously he had an immaculate leap, or if it was as big of a leap as people thought, right? Were the underlying numbers there, right, to set up that success, or was it just like an insane leap that like the media portrays it to be, right? The college football media all says that, if a quarterback can make a massive leap, he's the next Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow himself says that, there wasn't as much improvement as people think. It was always there, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to know what's the validity of that claim. That's a card that I really wanted to see.
Okay. I'm excited for that. And then we talked a little bit about this before we started recording. Are there any trends you're noticing with, I don't know, maybe something like players like Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow that make it to the NFL, what their cards look like versus someone that didn't? You could do this with running backs too, or just any trends you've noticed that have caught your eye.
Yeah, I can actually pull up Jared Goff as a great example. I have noticed that quarterbacks that stick around in the NFL have to have a good mix of accuracy and depth. And college football darling quarterbacks that are good typically don't have one or the other. A good example could be Cody Kessler. Cody Kessler was statistically a great quarterback in college. But what do we notice here? We see that he was only throwing in the 20th percentile of average depth of target. Everywhere else, he's good. I mean, everywhere else, he is good. And he's in the 99th percentile of quarterbacks as a whole. And I think if you go to 2015 with him, it's the same story, right? But he didn't make it too much in the NFL. Why? Because he didn't showcase the ability to spread the field. And I'm noticing this with a lot of quarterbacks. And I think it's really, really interesting. I'm not to say that if a quarterback's not throwing a large depth of target, they're not going to make it. Obviously, and that's one thing I want to preface with these cards. These cards should always be a supplement. I never want these to become the end-all, be-all, because this is a little bit of a toxic thing that happened in the hockey community, is that when these kind of cards came out, people would just be in an argument and slap down this card and not a player's card, not say anything. Act like it's the gospel. And I don't want that. I want it to be a supplement for people to know more about the quarterbacks, but I want the eye test to take into account at the same time. Right.
That's very level-headed and reasonable of you. There aren't many like you out there, Adeen. I hope you know that.
Thank you, Quentin. I really just, I don't want to create something. I don't want to create a bad culture with analytics, because that's not what I want. I want analytics to be a supplement. Like I said, a supplement is what this is always going to be, is that because, and you'll hear coaches say this, coaches that are a believer in the numbers in baseball, hockey, every sport, they never say it's the end all be all. Now, obviously, there's some teams like the Tampa Bay Rays that they rely on it more, but even them, they say it's a supplement to what we do, right? And that's what I want it to be. I don't think numbers should be the end all be all in anything.
I appreciate you saying that. You now have vocal receipts that Adeen Rao is not crazy. He is level-headed. He not only knows what he's talking about, he is assuring everybody that this is not a thing that should be your only reference. So now you all know. Adeen, just a couple of final questions before we get out of here. Is there anyone in college football this coming season whose PFF card do you think could look drastically different from what they were last year?
Oh, 100%. I will actually show him real quick. This is the card.
You're just revealing these like they don't cost any money. You're not care.
Yes, it's not like about the money for me. it's more so about sharing it. I'm so excited to share this kind of stuff. That's why I love it. You know what I mean?
I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah, I love these cards, and this player is one that, you know.
Oh yeah, it sucks that this is an audio only. Well, I guess maybe a visual version will come out eventually, but it sucks that this might be audio only.
Yes, Spencer Rattler is the card. Spencer Rattler, a lot of South Carolina fans will tell you this. That offensive system last year, I think it was Satterfield, right, was their coordinator. Or Sat. I don't remember their coordinator's name. They threw behind the line of scrimmage more than any other team in college football, despite having a Rattler who has a cannon of an arm. And I think, and when they took away his play calling duties for the final 3 games, Rattler was incredible to finish the season last year. And so I think for under a whole season of that, he's going to look unbelievable. I would be very disappointed if he didn't show out next year and was one of the top quarterbacks in college football. I would be, because he has the talent to do it. He's accurate as well.
Yeah, we might see a Jeter jump throw at some point if he's feeling really ambitious. That would be the cherry on top of the Spencer Rattler development train. All right, Adeen. Just finally, before we get out of here, where, once again, I think you mentioned it a little bit earlier, where can people find these PFF cards?
Yeah, so they're on my Twitter at Adeen Rao, Adeen Rao_. I have a link in my bio to my Patreon, and that's where you can basically just click to subscribe to any of the tiers that I have and request access to the spreadsheet once you do, and I will, as soon as I can, put you on the spreadsheet, and on the spreadsheet you'll just be able to very quickly click through the cards and see what you want to see. Really, it's really, really intuitive, really easy for the user, and self-explanatory. I have a legend on all my pages that explain each stat, and if there are any questions, my messages are always open to talk football with anyone, and I love good college football discourse. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Adeen, your words were dancing today. I appreciate you hopping on and talking about your PFF cards. I don't know what episodes we have planned for the future, but this was just a little bit of an intro. Adeen, can we expect any other positions or when any other historical players can come out? Is there a timetable for that yet or no?
Yes. So as of the airing date of this, which is Wednesday, July 19th, I can reasonably expect the historical quarterback cards to be out on Saturday at the latest. After that, I aim to work on 2022 wide receiver cards. And until college football season, I'm going to work really hard to make sure that every position on the field, I'm not even joking, every position is done.
Are we including kickers and punters?
Yes, we are, because I need them for the roster builders. I want to do a roster builder, actually, is what my main goal to finish with is. So we can get strength of scheduling numbers and stuff like that. Just a massive analytics network is my goal here.
Adeen, you are amazing. Keep on that ambition train. You're doing great. Thanks for hopping on and talking a little bit of college football analytics. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning into Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, just click the subscribe button below. And you can find this podcast through the Apple Podcast app or for iPhone, or the Google Podcast app for Android, or whatever app you use to listen to your podcast. We are also available on Spotify. Just search for Rock M Radio. And if you like other sports, Fans First Sports Network is a podcast network that has coverage of all other teams, Major League Baseball, MLS, NFL, whatever you want to listen and read about. It is a great network full of really fantastic podcasts. So look them up and subscribe to any and all of those podcasts. Rock M Radio will be back with more episodes coming soon. Thanks.